everyone, so welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, this is going to be my first video about pregnancy things, so if you are interested, then obviously keep watching because we're going to get into it. I wanted to share with you guys this journey because this is something that took me by complete surprise, although it's been something that we've been wanting for several years actually, that we've been trying for a baby, and it finally has happened. So yes, I've been wanting, but when it actually happened, it actually was a shock to me, a shock to my system, because I wasn't quite sure. I thought, like I mentioned in my life update, that it was a joke when my tests were positive. I was like, this can't be right. So needless to say, I'm in my second trimester, and of course second trimester vlogs will be coming. I don't know exactly how I'm going to group those, because this one's going to be focusing on finding out and also kind of coupling that with my first trimester, since that's been long gone at this point. So I'm going to just kind of jumble everything together, and I do apologize if I seem a little out of breath. That is a thing. So I definitely wanted to share this with you guys because I'm not the only one who's dealt with infertility and who has had struggles, and I have seen so many videos of different women sharing their stories, and there is a really nice community out there on YouTube, the land of YouTube, that gives you advice, that's there to kind of share their stories and make you feel like it's going to be okay, like you're not the only one. So if you are going through the journey of trying to conceive and it's been difficult, it's many months into it, maybe a couple years, just know that you're not alone, because I went through it and many other women go through it, or other couples as well. So that is something that is honestly quite popular. It's not as easy to get pregnant as people think. It definitely took us a while. So we have been trying. Let me just kind of preface this by kind of letting you guys know that we've been trying for some time and we wanted to have a baby. And I started trying when my son was around 3, close to 3.5. He's about to be 6. So there is quite a bit of a gap. I wasn't intending it to be that big of a gap, but I didn't expect or think that this was going to happen with trying to conceive again. It took me 5 years to get pregnant with my son. He was born in 2012. And it's such a magical experience to be pregnant and to experience being a parent and a mom. It's changed me because the person that I am now as a mother is not who I used to be before he came into my life. So it's pretty miraculous, and it's such a life-changing event when you give birth. But then you get to be a part of this little life for forever, until I guess until you grow old, you know, and you get to be with this person that you brought into this world, and it's so fun, it's magical, and I wouldn't change a thing. So yes, I've been trying for a while for baby number 2, but at least I'm here. So I'm going to get into sort of finding out and maybe kind of fitting in some of my symptoms. I made a list of my main symptoms throughout the first trimester, and then I'll kind of elaborate on some of them. I won't go into too many details on a lot of them because it's just pretty much straightforward. So I found out that I was pregnant with baby number 2 around 4 weeks and a few days. And the reason why I knew was because my period was late. That was the only symptom, only sign that I had that I could possibly be, but then I didn't think it was. I thought it was maybe stress, maybe something else. I thought it can't be. You know, all these years of trying and getting negative results, it's not going to happen. And to my surprise, it happened. So I was just a few days late, maybe 3 to 4 days late, and I thought, okay, something's got to be up. If it's not my cycle being late just because something else like stress or health related, then I have to be pregnant because there's no other reason. So I was about 4 weeks and a few days when my test turned positive. That's because I didn't even think to test beforehand. I took the first response with the 2 lines September 9th, and then today, September 10th, I did the digital. I feel like it's becoming more real. I cannot even believe it. I feel like I'm in shock still. So excuse the hot mess. I have breakouts, which probably should have been my first sign, because I usually don't get breakouts. I have pretty good skin, I would say. So I started getting breakouts on both sides of my face, like the cheek area. So that should have been my first little thing, but I didn't think much of it. So yeah, I can't even believe it. And I didn't film my reaction yesterday morning because I literally could not talk. Like, it was just, my mouth was down to the floor. And when I finally was able to pick up my mouth, I was crying and I couldn't say anything. So it was just like, and I'm an ugly crier. Nobody wants to see that. I just want to have like just smiles and just happiness. Even though it was happy tears, it was very early in the morning. I hadn't even brushed my teeth or anything. I found the test the night before and I was like, I got to do this in the morning. And so that's what I did. A very special moment in my life, and I want to share that with you guys. And yeah, I'm having another baby. Oh my God. Like, I can't even believe it. I'm having another baby. Oh my God, I feel like I'm going to start crying right now. Wow. It's really happening. I can't even believe it. This is like the best news. I feel like I'm over the moon, and my son is going to be thrilled. This is going to be great. I would say week 4 and 5 were kind of just like regular. I didn't really feel anything. And by the way, I didn't do belly shots or like clips of them. I have photos, so I'll kind of maybe pop them up as I talk about each week. So for week 4 and 5, not much belly-wise. I look completely normal. Week 6, that's when all of my symptoms slowly started to kick in. And as I mentioned in my life update, this first trimester was really, really difficult for me. It was very brutal. With the symptoms, just the way I felt. I didn't even feel like myself at all. I had a lot of nausea, and my nausea started week 6 to kick in, but then as each week progressed, it became all-day sickness. So I was sick from when I woke up to when I went to bed, and I was also hungry at the same time, which is really weird. It's something I haven't really experienced up until now, being nauseous and on the verge of throwing up, or like I could throw up any second, but also being really hungry, like I haven't eaten in days. It's very strange, but the two come together and it just messes you up. It ruins your day. So I would say that for most of my trimester, from week 6 all the way up until week 14, I was very, very sick all day long, no matter if I ate a good sized meal, no matter if I ate something small or snacked kind of randomly throughout the day. It seemed like nothing worked. I also tried ginger candies, ginger ale, crackers, C-bands that you put on, and it puts like pressure on a certain acupressure point or whatever, sends signal for morning sickness and motion sickness to your brain, and it's supposed to calm it down. None of that worked for me. So I just basically had to write it out because I was praying that this was not going to be something that I dealt with in my second trimester. And I'm happy to say and share that my second trimester has been much, much better than my first. Thank goodness. Another thing that I started noticing in week 6 was some bloating. It just looked like maybe I may have had a few too many cupcakes, not so much a belly. At this point, it's like, whoa, lady, you're very pregnant. But at first, it's kind of like a little muffin top, and you know, my shirts usually are kind of loose anyways. I never wear things that are super form-fitting, so I was able to disguise it for quite a while. And I would say that by week 11 or 12, it started to become much more than just a muffin top. So I had the bloating. A big other main symptom was feeling tired. Also taking naps. I took naps every single day. Starting week 6, I just started to feel really drained and exhausted. And so much is going on inside of your body that it's only normal to feel this way. So if you are watching and you are in your first trimester, or you're thinking about trying and expanding your family or having your first baby, just know that that is a very normal feeling, to feel run down and tired. But you should kind of perk up again, in your second trimester, when things sort of kind of start to mellow out a little bit, until trimester 3 comes in and shakes you all up and changes everything again for you. So because I was sick, I spent most of my days in bed. Laying in bed, I would get up, take my son to school, pick him up from school, and just do the absolute minimum because I felt physically like I just couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was just not myself at all. So I spent most of my days in bed, just kind of lounging, relaxing, sometimes on the couch, trying to watch TV. I wasn't able to do much work at the time. I had just started my real estate career, and I thought, hey, I can manage both. but that ended up not being the case. I couldn't really keep up. It was really something that I had never experienced before, because with my first pregnancy with my son 6 years ago, that was smooth sailing. I felt freaking great. I worked through my entire pregnancy, had the best skin of my life. It was like I could do it again and again and again. If every pregnancy was going to be like that, I would have like 5 kids by now. Maybe not 5, but you know what I mean. It was so much easier with being pregnant the first time. I don't know if gender has anything to do with that. We have an idea of what it is. I have a gut feeling. My doctor seems to think he knows what it is, but we'll share that later on as these videos kind of start to progress into more in-depth things. The next symptom was a lot of burping, so kind of gas. Thankfully, it was just burping and not the other end, because I feel bad for my husband. But a lot of burping and a lot of just gas pains, like right below my breast. I would feel just kind of discomfort, and it was just kind of gas. And sometimes if I would change from being laying down to sitting up, that would help bring up the gas, and then I'd feel much better. I tried to minimize carbonated beverages just to make sure that that wasn't contributing to it, because I love sparkling water. So I kept that to a minimum, and you know, the ginger ale, I try to sip on it here and there. It really didn't do anything, so I just kind of gave up on the ginger ale, but just a lot of burping. And the biggest thing was throwing up, vomiting. I did throw up several meals. If I didn't throw up every single day, I would actually gag. The smells of things, the thought of foods, the look of foods really would make me gag. I couldn't sit at the dining table. I couldn't even be in the kitchen. It was really difficult, you guys. I did not expect this, nor did I see this coming in any way, shape, or form. So all of those sort of started kind of trickling in around week 6. And so the food aversions, pretty much having an aversion to everything. I know that sounds kind of dramatic, and I really am not. I'm trying to just be as open and candid about this, because this is truly what I have felt. So the food aversions that I had was pretty much everything. I couldn't stand the sight of raw meats. It just made me so incredibly sick. The smells of certain foods. The only one food that I could eat through my first trimester was fruit. And I'm very thankful for that, because I did rely on lots of fruits. That's what I would eat late at night when I would get like the munchies. Or if I couldn't finish my dinner, then I would have, you know, maybe a banana. But then the texture of the banana started causing me problems, so I switched to oranges and apples, kiwis, strawberries. I always have all kinds of fruits. Like I buy like 6 different kinds every single week, and I just kind of snack on them throughout the week, have them every morning with breakfast. So I was able to continue that, which I'm, like I said, thankful for, because it was very minimal. It was that, crackers, sometimes toast, English muffins were good because they're kind of very basic and plain, just kind of bland, not a lot of flavor. But pretty much everything else, things that I used to love, was an aversion. It would make me gag. Something very strange was feeling like I was going to throw up every morning as I brushed my teeth, and every single night. I don't know if it was the motion of my Sonicare toothbrush or the flavor of my toothpaste that just started kind of becoming a problem, or my mouth rinse. I don't know what it was, but I would gag, and I would be hovered over the toilet every single morning, just throwing up before taking my son to school. And he would come and he would rub my back, and he was so sweet, and he'd just say, "Mommy, it's gonna be okay." He'd get a tissue and he'd help me. Not like I was throwing up all over the place, but he's like, "Here's the tissue, you can wipe your mouth." He's like, "Make sure you rinse your mouth, Mom." And so he kind of helped me with that, and it happened every single morning and every single night. So something about brushing my teeth, I just couldn't do it, and it was just very strange. So that was kind of the symptoms, kind of trickling, like I said, week 6. Week 7 was when I went for my first ultrasound to confirm the babies, or 1 baby, 2 babies, 3. But there's only 1. I thought I was having twins, because my HCG level, when they were testing me at the very start, were very, very high. And it kind of leaned towards what you would expect for a woman pregnant with twins, that high level of HCG. So maybe that's why I felt so incredibly sick. But there was only 1 baby, and even though I had dreams of twins and dreams of having girls, I don't know. I just thought I had twins. But there's only 1 baby. So around week 7, and I'll put some like pictures if I have them for each week up on the screen, I started having more frequent trips to the bathroom at night to pee. I drink a lot of water normally, and so being pregnant, I had to up my intake at the minimum 100 ounces of water is what the nurse told me. So I'm drinking water around the clock, and unfortunately it makes me have to go throughout the night. And it doesn't help at this point when I can actually feel the baby moving and kicking, and it seems like my bladder can't hold but like 2 drops of urine, and I have to pee every 5 seconds. But it's only going to get worse, so that's okay. I'll deal. So week 7 was also twinges, pulling. The nurse said it was quickening of the uterus, everything kind of pulling and stretching, and the round ligament type of situation. That still happens now, even at the point that I'm at, halfway point. So I had those twinges and stuff, but you know, they told me it was normal. It wasn't painful. It's just like little pokes, like little stretches, like in the hip area, lower abdominal area, like way below the belly button, down kind of close to your lower regions. That's totally normal to have that and to feel that, because everything is going to start expanding and getting bigger to accommodate a baby, a growing uterus. So that's kind of what I was feeling. So week 8 was pretty traumatic for me. Week 8, I had all the same symptoms that week 6 brought on in week 7. Week 8, things still with the morning sickness, but week 8, I ended up in the emergency room. I was 8 weeks and 6 days, reading my notes here. I ended up in the ER because I had massive vaginal bleeding, and my first thought was I'm probably miscarrying. Although I didn't feel any physical pain or cramps when the bleeding happened, it was pretty horrific what I saw in the toilet and also what I experienced when I went to the hospital. And so the doctor there on call tried to do a pelvic exam, but he really couldn't. He's like, I don't really want to go in there looking around and messing with anything just because there's so much bleeding. And he was able to pull up the heartbeat on the ultrasound machine, so that gave me some peace of mind, but I didn't quite understand why I was still bleeding so profusely, like more than what's normal for a menstrual cycle. Like, I really thought I was miscarrying. That whole ER visit was a nightmare. They lost my blood work and my urine samples, so I never found out what my HCG levels were. I had the worst experience, the worst bedside manner possible when I went to the ER, and I was not happy about that. So they sent me home, discharged me with a threatened miscarriage, and they said that most likely that's exactly what's happening and that I would have to kind of wait and see. I know, wait and see, it's like, that's all you can tell me? Like, you couldn't just give me a little bit more, just kind of help me out, see if maybe there's somehow an OBGYN that's on call possibly, or that's willing to come in, because, you know, I was almost, the next day I was 9 weeks, and to be told a threatened miscarriage, it was like, I felt like my soul was shattering and falling apart, and I was, you know, emotional, having a breakdown at the hospital, even worse, of an emotional breakdown when I got home. I just felt like everything was falling apart because I was told that I might be losing this baby, and I didn't fight so hard to get to this point and to go through this up and down journey over the last 2+ years to get pregnant, to end up like that. And I know that a lot of women have experienced that, and my heart goes out to those women who have experienced loss, because I can't imagine what that feels like. And for me, I just was so scared. I spent the whole next day, I turned 9 weeks the next day, in bed. I barely ate. I didn't shower. I didn't get out of bed. I cried. I was a total hot mess. I was feeling like my happiness and all of the feelings that I had were just going away. And now instead of being happy and excited, I was feeling sad and scared, because there's nothing that can be done. If that's what's happening, I can't stop it, no matter how much will and prayer I put into it. Once it starts, it's like there's nothing they can do. And that's what the doctor said, there's nothing we can do. That's exactly what's happening. Because of my ER visit, I have now been categorized as a high-risk pregnancy, so I go in every 3 weeks for a vaginal ultrasound and also abdominal ultrasound. So they do 2 every 3 weeks, and also they check for a heartbeat. And I have to do those consecutively up until a certain point when my doctor feels that it's safe to kind of say, you know what, I don't need to see you so frequently. But I have been in and out of doctor's offices. I've been having so much blood work done constantly to make sure everything is okay, because I do have a thyroid disorder, which I take Synthroid for, and I still take it through my pregnancy to prevent neurological disorders in the baby. So I have to take that. It's not like I can stop taking it, even if I wanted to. But those levels, my thyroid levels, are pretty normal and is balanced with the medication, so it's good. And baby has progressed and grown. So that week 8 was very, very difficult for me. So week 8 turns into week 9, and the bleeding stops. There's no pain, there's no cramping, and I'm just praying that when I go in to see my OBGYN that I would be able to hear a heartbeat. Didn't get to hear a heartbeat, but a couple of days later they were able to still find a heartbeat. So that means the baby was still there. And I can't tell you how much relief that was to just feel. I couldn't hear it, but just to see it on the ultrasound machine and for the doctor to say the baby's looking fine and just knowing that things are going to be okay. It was like, I feel like I had angels just watching over me because I was just kind of in limbo, just kind of wondering, okay, is it going to start being painful? And I asked the ER doctor, okay, so if that's what's going to happen, since I've never had a miscarriage, what do I expect? Am I going to be, how much pain is this going to be? What do I do? Do I call a doctor? Do I just kind of stay home and let it happen? Like, I didn't know what to do. And he said that pretty much the body knows exactly what to do. The body will just expel. And I'm like, okay, give me my papers. I'm signing my papers. I'm getting out of here because what you're telling me is not what I want to hear. And you're not really kind of giving me what I want to know. So I was not happy. My husband even went off on the nurse because they thought that I had started a period. And I'm like, really? I'm telling you, this visit was awful. I was there from 2:30 until 9:30 at night. And they're like, oh, so you started your period today? I said, no, I'm almost 9 weeks pregnant. It's not a period. Oh, they were kind of like fumbling around. I'm like, I need a doctor. So can you go get a doctor? I was pretty bitchy because I was scared that I was losing my little baby. And, I just was like, this is not going to happen. I was scared to even pee. I was holding it and holding it and holding because I was like, I am not using the bathroom. And my husband's like, that's not going to do anything. He's like, if you have to pee, you have to go. And it was really, really bad. So week 9, that's where my morning sickness seemed to be its worst. So on top of going through that, traumatic event in week 8, week 9 not only was kind of like rocky for me, but the morning sickness was the worst it's ever been since finding out I was pregnant. And it was just awful. It was like what I was feeling times 100. So week 11, I felt like I could have possibly felt the first movements. Little twinges here and there, like a little poke, and it just feels like somebody's like kind of just lightly, just very subtle, kind of like a little poke or a little tap. And it was just very random. It would happen once, and then a couple of days later, it'd happen again. So maybe that was it. I don't know. And my doctor said he wasn't surprised if I could feel it at that point because I'm so small. And I'm such a tiny person. You guys only see from here up, but I'm very, very small. I'm like a Polly Pocket size. That's the best way to describe my size. So I felt kind of some little something happening, but I wasn't quite sure if it was that. And then the only new symptom for that week was the constipation that comes with it, but it seems to be a little bit better now. It was a problem. It would cause a lot of abdominal discomfort, and so I went to see the midwife that works with my doctor, and she gave me Colace, I think is what it's called, but I haven't taken it. It's just kind of like an emergency. I have it if I really need it, but I choose to not medicate unless it's absolutely necessary. So week 12 has rolled around, and that's when I get my flu shot. And for the 2 to 3 days after getting the flu shot, I started to have cold symptoms, but I didn't end up getting really sick. It's just kind of feeling like I'm coming down with something. And then the same symptoms as week 11 in the previous weeks. Same thing with week 13, which is the last week. Week 14 is the start of trimester number 2. So week 13 was kind of the same, nothing major there, same symptoms, same morning sickness. But it seems like as week 13 was coming to a close and the start of week 14, which is the second trimester, started to come around. And then obviously into week 14 and 15, the morning sickness has been a little bit better. So I'll get into all of my second trimester stuff starting week 14 in a separate video. I know this video is kind of long, but I wanted to kind of encompass everything that I was feeling and kind of tell you about some things that were going on. If you hear anything, those are my rabbits. So like I said, because of my ER visit, I am a high-risk pregnancy, and baby's doing great. He or she is still thriving and doing very well. But to kind of sum it up, I've had, a pretty difficult time with the first trimester. I was put on pelvic rest since week 9. So pelvic rest just means no exercising, no sex, no douching, no lifting, and so that still kind of remains. I have not been able to exercise. I can walk a little bit, but I can't overdo it just because that could cause me to have some complications. And I've just been kind of getting into the groove of doing a little bit of stuff around the house, like chores and stuff, because I did mention that in my last update video that I have now become a stay-at-home mom again. I kind of stepped back from my real estate stuff because I was having so many complications, and I just, you know, felt like I needed to just do what was right for my health and for this little baby. And being that I was pretty delicate, kind of wondering what was going to happen either way, I decided that I was just going to stay home and do as minimal as possible. So I'm very thankful that things have turned a corner. I'm also thankful that I've had a support from my husband who has helped me with everything. I have gained 15 pounds. So from weeks 4 to like, I don't know, 17, 18, I had already gained 15 pounds. I haven't stepped on the scale since then at home. I step on the scale at the hospital or the clinic, at the clinic, and write it down, and that's fine. That's that. You know, it is what it is. It's okay. And yeah, that's it. I will let you guys go because I know this video is quite long, but it was several weeks, couple months of information to kind of jumble together into a video. So I hope that you brought some snacks for the video. So I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for being here, for tuning in, for watching this video, for all the kind love and support and the congrats that I have been given here in the comments. Also through social media, I have read your comments, and I appreciate you so much for taking the time to do that and to leave me a comment, for being here, for being you, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Bye-bye.